What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Mind of Marsal podcast. This is episode number 123. I'm your host, Armando Marsal. You can find all of my work over at fantasyguru.com. Follow me on the Twitter machine at Armando_Marsal, as well as on Instagram and threads at Mind of Marsal, and now on TikTok at Mind of Marsal Pod. I was hijacked, had to create a new account, so make sure you're following me there, posting content there daily. Before jumping into it, I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you all. Remember, if you're enjoying the podcast, enjoying the content, please make sure you follow, like, rate, review, wherever it is you're consuming the content. Also, you can find this show on YouTube channel, my YouTube channel right now, Mind of Marsal there. And any questions, any topics, anything you want me to discuss at mindofmarsal@gmail.com, email it there, and we'll make sure to talk about it here in the podcast. Today, it is Tuesday, and I got my guy, Russell Clay, here to talk some Week 6 recaps. We're going to take some takeaways, talk Monday Night Football, and just talk football here in general. Russell, how's it going, my brother?
Great, man. And yeah, I noticed the difference when you started posting Asian street market meat videos. I was like, is this a new lane? Does Mondo know something I don't know about content? Is he going down? Is he into like chopping up fish in Asian markets? Is that his thing now? But unfortunately, you were not having a new brand change. You did get hacked. Sad.
It was right. It was sad. I was doing pretty good. Like I started, getting some traction with the account. It took me some time. Doing it all over again. It's okay. And I did end up reporting the account. By the way, if you were following me before, unfollow that account. It's still kind of going around and report it. And let me tell you, the content is going
Oh.
down. Like it's gone south. It's gone. It went from Asian meat market fish filleting to teas that God knows what they do, dude. I'm telling you, report that account. Uh, I don't want to be anything
I
associated.
don't follow it anymore, Mondo, but sometimes it pops up on my feed. I'm like, Mondo's
Dude,
really
I
out
tell
there,
you, man,
man.
I started texting all like anyone that my brother-in-law, like my wife's cousin. I'm like, hey guys, please, because they all follow me on that stuff. I'm like, guys, please report the account.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I it is crazy what I've seen there. Nothing to do with fantasy sports, that's for sure. Um,
That's
well, Russ, week 6, dude, it was a wild one. It was a bad one for injuries, right? Like this was one of those weeks where like a lot of notable players went down. Like we've kind of been,
yeah.
saved for the most part, from injuries, but it was a pretty bad week of injuries. We had a double header on Monday night. You and I were talking about that before we jumped on the show. Did you catch those games yesterday?
I did. They were good. The Falcons were my biggest takeaway. Is this team developing? Is this a home road splits type of deal? What is going on here with this Falcons team? Because that was not a Bills thing. The Bills just did their thing, screwed around. Josh Allen had a few picks, but that last pick was just desperation. This Falcons squad, Mondo, with London and Bijan at home, fantastic.
I mean, they're very efficient, man. They look good last night. The defense playing good. I mean, Bijan, he is incredible. That run, down the sideline for it all. I mean, I watched that. I'm like, he is just a special runner. You watch him, the vision he has, the ability to break tackles. He bounces around. He's difficult. I mean, he's an incredible running back. And when that offense is clicking on all cylinders like that, and then the defense is playing well, I think it's a football team that can win you games, right? I do think that they're not quite there. Yeah, like you mentioned, they're kind of still learning, they're still growing, but I think they're developing, right? And I think that they're getting better each and every week. And I
Yeah.
don't think Atlanta, you can view that team now as, if you're looking at survivor pools and whatnot, you don't look at Atlanta and say, oh, I'm comfortable picking against Atlanta. I'm not. I'll be honest with you. Like I was kind of messing around with my survivor pool because you can kind of pick it in weeks in advance, and I got to a point in week 10 where I find it very difficult. And I, look, man, Atlanta's not an easy out anymore. This is a really good team. Buffalo losing 2 in a row. That's very surprising to me. Um, Look, I'll say this. They've faced 2 teams that are playing very good football, right? So I'm not concerned about Buffalo. I still look at this team as a contender. I still look at this team as a force to be
Yeah.
reckoned with. Um, I think it's kudos to New England last week and kudos to Atlanta this week, right? I think when you look at New England, that's a team that's playing very good football at a high level with confidence. Drake Maye, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. He's looking phenomenal. Um, the other game yesterday, that Washington and Chicago game, I felt to be very sloppy, right? Like there was a lot of missed opportunities in that game for both sides. I think, you look at the fumble at the end of the game for Jaden Daniels that gave, the ball to Chicago, then they came back and they executed their, but it was really sloppy. Um, what are your takeaways from that one? Because I look at these two teams and I'm like, they have the pieces, they have the foundations, but I don't think they play consistent football, right? And I think that that's a big thing for me here. I don't see them playing consistent football. And granted, you get hot when you get hot. Um, but I've seen a lot of up and down from Chicago this year in a season where I think expectations were really high for this team. So what are your thoughts there on that game? Because I find it to be sloppy, man. Like, that's my takeaway from that.
I have a few takeaways from all this stuff. Number one, going back to Penix for a second. Penix is playing really well in these games, especially the victories, but it doesn't. We're fantasy guys, right? We have come up in football through fantasy football and fantasy sports and sports betting. When you watch these games, he is playing better than the fantasy points suggest. I don't know that that's going to change much in the next 3 to 5 years for him, even if he does play well. He's getting it to London. He's getting it to Bijan. But if we're talking fantasy, this kind of looks like what Penix is. And I don't want to say it's a final product, but I saw a lot of people complaining about his role last night and how they're using him. And I'm like, wait a second. He's doing pretty darn good. Now, is he handing it off a lot? Is he managing the offense? You don't see a lot of like miscues. Like they're just efficient and running, and it's a well-oiled machine. He's going in. He's checking all the things. Like he's doing maintenance. He's game manager Penix right now. And Mondo, I gotta be honest. I think that's what they want from him for the next couple of years. I know, he's got the do-rag and looks like Michael Vick, but dude's a clear pocket. I mean, who does he look like, Mondo, out there? He looks like old Stafford out there. He's not really a runner. He's just kind of dinking and dunking. Maybe Stafford's not a good comp, but he looks like just a pocket quarterback. So that's my last thing on Penix, and then I don't know if you have any thoughts there.
Like a Trent Dilfer back there, baby.
Yeah,
Just hanging out.
Dude.
Listen, game managing. And I think you said it best, right? Like, we live in two different worlds when it comes to football and sports in general nowadays, right? There's the sports betting, the fantasy, that aspect of an element of the game, and then there's the actual game itself, the actual sport itself. And from a fantasy standpoint, yes, Penix is not someone we look at and say, man, this guy is incredible. He's lights out. He's elite talent. He's incredible ceiling. No, but he is efficient to run this offense, right? And he is doing it
Yeah.
at a very good pace right now. Like you look at it, over 60% completion rate, like just, kind of doing what he needs to do, taking care of the ball. Like we saw this, like, with Joe Flacco in Baltimore, like that kind of, where you just do what you got to do and you win the games. They have a good defense in Atlanta. They have a really good run game, because Bijan Robinson, arguably one of the best running backs in football. You can make the case for him being the best running back in football. Tyler Algier is a really good running back, right? Like we look at it because from a fantasy standpoint, he's a handcuff, but he's actually a pretty good running back. You watch him run, he finds the holes, he breaks through those holes, he has explosiveness. Just one of those guys like that can run the football. If you take him out, if you take Bijan out, you put him, you're gonna beat up on these defensive lines, and the defense tire them out, and that's what their game is, right? And when their run game is not efficient, that's when this game can get in, that's when the team can get into trouble. And that's what it is. Like Michael Penix is not going to go and get in a shootout with Mahomes and win that game. It's
Right.
gonna have to be a grinded out game where it stays close. If you expect him to come out and shoot it out with one of the elite quarterbacks in this NFL, that's probably not going to happen. And I think that that's the point here with Penix. Like you got yourself a starting quarterback that can manage games so long as you put him in the right surrounded with the right pieces and put the right system in front of him. And that's what they're doing right now in Atlanta. And so far it's been, somewhat successful. So I agree
Yeah.
with you, man. I think this is a team that's gonna I don't expect them to make a run at the Super Bowl or anything of that nature, right? But I think that this is a team that no team wants to go in there and face, on any given week. It's not a gimme, and that's not what they are. So I agree with you, man. I like what
So
I've seen.
the final point for fantasy people, and Mondo, you just nailed it all. But the last thing I want to say is when you watch a Michael Penix drive, right? What is his goal? Bubble screen, handoff Bijan, handoff Algier, 3rd and 2, 5-yard pass on 3rd down to keep the drive going. And he gets that touchdown at the end, and it's a Bijan rushing touchdown. That's a hell of a drive. And it's like, that's winning football. So, and now we shift to this Bears-Washington game where Jaden's asked to do everything. I mean, everything. And Caleb, I mean, the talent's so high. Ben Johnson's firing him out there, throwing deep targets, and they're doing all this super, super high difficulty stuff. There's going to be some games, Mondo, where this looks like shit, right? Yeah. And it was raining, and they neither looked particularly good yesterday. So, Jaden had 2 huge turnovers, which he's my guy, but we got to be honest. We got to call a square. He had some really, really rough. He's a killer, by the way. He makes the worst mistake ever, and he's on the sideline just like, all right. And that's what you need for the playoffs, and that's why he was so good in the playoffs last year. But for fantasy, these guys are all really good. Odunze kind of had a down game, but that was more how the game flow went. DeAndre Swift, Mondo, we're so used to him being I'm injured. Dude's running north-south like crazy. So really impressive. Overall, both these teams are going to be fine. And big win for this Bears team. I think that Bears team, quote-unquote, needed it a little more. Get to 4-2, new coaching staff, or 3-2, new coaching staff. Really big win for them. Washington's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think both of these teams are going to be fine, right? I think that there's a lot of talent, and I think these teams are going through the growing pains too, right? Some of these there's new system in place there in Chicago. Jaden Daniels, at the end of the day, he does have Terry McLaurin. That's a big loss for him. Like that's a big loss for him. So, like you mentioned, he's kind of carrying this team on his back. DeAndre Swift, that to me, that was an incredible performance by him. Like he has been playing really well. The offensive line in Chicago, like they created some massive holes yesterday. Like I mean, massive holes. They played probably their best game of the season. Right. This was a good offensive line. This is something we had talked about. The good offensive line. This is. I think we're going to see more of DeAndre Swift finding success here. Like they have to get him. They've been getting him the football. The volume hasn't been an issue, but they got to continue to get him both involved in the passing game and the running. And like he's going to have these kind of moments. For me, he's a fantasy asset. Like I think if you drafted him, you should be very, very content with what you've seen so far from him this season. Odunze, man, that they called that back. Like I was so pissed like that. Like, come on. Come on. That was wishy-washy. Like we should have had another Odunze touchdown, bro. That we should have had one more. I wanted to see him keep going. Big fan of the guy. He's emerged as the number 1 guy here, without question for me. And just, I mean, an elite level talent. So I think the future is bright there. Caleb Williams like continues to show, that yes and no, like yes, at good moments, at bad moments too. Like, and I think that's part of being a young quarterback. But he has flashed some really like good stuff here. So I am happy to see that there as well. We get a lot of questions regarding Caleb Williams as far as you start him, sit him, stuff like that. Like, where do you see him? Like, I see him as a top, 15, 16 quarterback each and every week. With some weeks, he's going to be top 12, top 10 in your board, right?
Mondo, there are so many people that don't like him. He is the number 1 hate watch. He did not play bad in this game.
No.
He may have made a few mistakes, people do not like Caleb Williams, and I think it's affecting how they view fantasy stuff. Rushing touchdown, passing touchdown, almost another passing touchdown, 252 yards. And he makes throws almost nobody else can make. He is really special. And again, all these, I try to keep emphasizing with all these young quarterbacks, he is 23. Penix is 24, 25. Jaden's 24. This is the very beginning of their careers. We're seeing guys like Baker Mayfield really break out at 30, Mondo. Baker Mayfield, by the time he was 24, 25, he was getting washed out of Cleveland, right? That's like Sam Darnold, we thought was going to be out of the league by 25. It was like, this is over. These guys need time, and the fact that they're already good, I'm like so confident this 2024 class is going to be like, when I think back to the 2000s, it was Big Ben, Eli, Rivers all in one class, and they just were top 10-ish quarterbacks for the next 20 years. I just think we're going to get that type of class from this. I don't know if we're going to get the best, right? I think it's Mahomes, Allen, maybe Lamar, whatever, but these guys are going to be around forever. If you hate Caleb Williams, you're going to get a hate watch for the next 15 years, I think.
Well, I'll be honest. I was lower on Caleb than most. However, I am willing to say I was wrong. I'm seeing something that very different. And like I've said it, he's QB 11 right now. That's why for me he's top 15. Moving forward, right? Like at the end of the day, if you have him on your roster, this is the way I look at it. If you have him on your roster, you don't need another quarterback. You could start him every week, and he's going to be what QB, 1 through 15
fine.
most weeks, dude. Like let's go. Like he's fine, guys. So so far he's looked better than I expected, without question in my mind, this season. Russ, we had a lot of big names go down this week, dude. Egbuka, Garrett Wilson, our boy Nacua, Marvin Harrison Jr., Calvin Ridley's not, but still Calvin Ridley, David Njoku, and then DJ Moore was hospitalized after yesterday's game. There's no really report on exact what happened there. He was on the field in the last play, like in that last run of Swift, he was out there blocking. You see him blocking. So not sure what happened there. I haven't been able to find anything. I don't know if you found anything, but we could go with like Egbuka. So he's dealing with that hamstring injury, and he's going. So we're recording this on Tuesday. He's supposed to go more testing today, further testing today to see the severity of that. But initial reports do suggest that he's expected to miss some time there. Chris Godwin already ruled out for week 7. That's not a good sign for his health. Mike Evans, big questionable. Tampa Bay, it could be facing themselves or find themselves in a tough spot this weekend, dude. What do you think about Egbuka's hamstring injury here, and how concerned are you?
Always concerned about hamstrings, right? I was looking up DJ Moore stuff. I couldn't find anything, but so many injuries. We are getting chiseled away. We are not quite the San Francisco 49ers in terms of our fantasy lineups. Well, honestly, maybe some of you are at this point. I have survived for the most part, but man, it's getting ugly, Mondo. And okay, I always say this to Mondo when I talk to him about injuries, but he's been here with NBA stuff for years. I remember I'll hop into the NBA for DFS stuff every once in a while and be like, all right, yep, 10 minutes before tip, these 15 guys just aren't playing, and now we got to figure out this 5th string. I mean, if you go to NBA depth charts at the end of the year, it's like they have 40 guys who played now, and it's like we are heading there. Could a lot of these guys play if it were the playoffs? That is where we have to have this conversation now. Could Puka have come back if this were a playoff game? Do they go back, maybe give him some sweet tarts or whatever they do? I think they give him candy, right? And then they come back out and they're happy.
They say it's
Whatever
candy.
they
They
do,
say it's candy.
yeah, he probably could have come back out if it were playoffs, but these aren't playoff games. So I don't know, Mondo. It kind of makes me step back and say, what do you think about all this? Because you've been seeing this for years in NBA, but they are all managing their whole seasons except for Kyle Shanahan, who is riding 150, revving the RPMs all the way up till the car just completely falls apart. And let's be clear, it is completely falling apart.
Dude, listen, we'll talk about that offense in a minute. But to kind of talk about these injuries, look, I agree with you. Hamstring injuries for me are very concerning, right? He has a hamstring injury. Calvin really has a hamstring injury. Apparently, Calvin really couldn't even run after his hamstring injury. Like that's what he couldn't even run after that. So these tend to linger. These tend to be like very volatile, right? Like there's someone that could come back from a hamstring injury 1 week after suffering the injury. There's people that take multiple weeks. There's people that go back, re-aggravate, and then it's out for a lengthy amount of time. Like they're very, very tricky. It all depends on the severity. I think keeping an eye on the Egbuka news and monitoring that. But if we're being honest, you're an Egbuka manager and you were planning or counting on him, I would be preparing to be without him at least this upcoming week. That's how I would treat this scenario. Like you said, you're going to get this. The good thing about the NFL is you generally get this information with enough time, right, to adjust, with enough time to make a change in your fantasy lineup. It's not at times in the NBA, you get it after tip off. Like there's nothing you could do. Like you literally get it after tip off. Like that happens often in the NBA. I'm sorry.
So the Jaylen Warren type thing happens.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, but that's like a once in a lifetime in the NFL type thing. Like it happens like once every like 3 years or 4 years or whatever. NBA happens regularly. Like it's not uncommon. Yeah. So yeah, I look at these two. I look at the injury for Puka as such. I'm concerned about it. Puka Nacua, I agree with you. Said the thing with me is it's an ankle sprain. How severe is the ankle sprain? Like we don't know that yet. All I know is he's day to day. Like they've been very kind of nonchalant about it, not really giving too much information. I will tell you right now, he's not going to practice probably until Friday, right? Like if he practices at all, he won't probably practice it Friday. This is why I always say like wait until the end of the week when you get the final injury reports and the final practice reports is so important because until then nothing really matters. So for me, like I'm going to keep an eye on those injury reports and practice reports. We're probably not going to have answers, for some of these guys until the end of the week. Garrett Wilson, the knee, apparently he avoided a serious knee injury. However, still expected to miss time. This Jets team just absolutely sucks, man. Like they are, like I said this on Ray's show today, dude. It was tough to watch, right? Like it was really bad to watch. Garrett Wilson, do they have to rush him back? As much as I am more invested in Garrett Wilson than probably anyone this season. I want him back on the field, but is he going to come back like now? I don't know. They don't have to rush him back. Marvin Harrison, concussion, that, the drill with that. That's like basically you got to clear the concussion protocol and then see what happens there. We should know more on DJ Moore soon. And then David Njoku, I think it's very important. He has a knee injury. We don't know the severity of it. Like there's no updates as of Monday afternoon. There were no updates on the how severe the injury is. What's important there is Dylan Gabriel loves to target the tight end. Harold Fanning Jr., in my opinion, dude, if Njoku misses time, like he becomes an every week starter because he's gonna get peppered with a ton of targets. Last week he had double-digit targets. I think that's here to stay if Njoku's out. So that's news to monitor. You're probably not going to get that before the waiver. So in that scenario, what do you do? Like, do you go and get Fanning or do you kind of say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait it out. How do you treat that? Because I do think that's a common question for fantasy managers.
Mondo, before we do fantasy stuff, Aaron Glenn, 0-6.
It's terrible.
Made huge waves this offseason, Mondo. Brutalized Aaron Rodgers, tried to embarrass him in a meeting that Aaron Rodgers went public with. And listen, you can do that if you're Dan Campbell or Ben Johnson and you're winning. each loss, this looks worse and worse and worse. And the dance down the sideline in the loss. I mean, we saw Titans fire Brian Callahan yesterday. And another thing with Garrett Wilson, bye week coming up, these teams love to hold out players an extra week to get to that bye week now. So I am sweating for all the Garrett Wilson people. Could be a few weeks here. I think it's week 9. Hopefully it's not 2 weeks and then a bye, but that would be really, really rough for Garrett Wilson fantasy owners. Waivers this week is really rough, Mondo. There's no clear running back, and then Fannin. I like the Fannin call with Gabriel. Seems like they have a nice chemistry.
Yeah, I think he'll be someone that you can count on here. If needed. You just have to wait on that David and Joe can use. And kind of to echo some things you're saying, by the way, about Aaron Glenn. Was he the problem in Detroit? Was he a problem in Detroit? I mean,
all I know is at the end of last year, they had a bunch of injuries and they were giving up like 40 points a game. And now he's in New York and they're 0-6. Now, some brutal losses that were coin flips.
Yes.
0-6 is 0-6.
And they've looked really bad on several occasions. This past weekend, and I said this with Ray, it was look, I watch Dolphins football all the time, and they're not a good football team, and they've had some really bad games. This is one of the worst games I've seen from the New York, like from a team like this weekend from the New York Jets, dude. It was abysmal. But yeah, look, when you look at the numbers, so like right now, the Detroit Lions are top 6 in overall defensive grade, rush defense, pass rush, and coverage per PFF.
Wow.
Top 6 in each of those categories, right? I don't know. They're doing good right now. They're not missing Aaron Glenn, in my opinion. All right. So I did want to point that out because I found it funny that, like you mentioned, there was so much hype about him and all this and all that. But, dude, like, he's not been that great this season. So, as a coach, and I think he's a lot of red flags there. So, do you think he's gonna do you think he's if he doesn't get it going soon, like they're done with him? You really think that they're just gonna
I don't know. I mean, listen, I lived through the Urban Meyer year with Jacksonville. By midseason, it was like, oh my God, this is a 1-year thing. And then by like week 12, it was like, is he getting fired now? Jets fans were so excited. I don't know, guys. I've been through it. I went through it with Urban, but man, it's rough, Mondo.
It is. All right. Let's talk about some of our biggest takeaways here from this week, man, in week 6. And I'll start off with the Dolphins. Is it time to, that's it? We're done, guys. The Tua, the McDaniel era, we got to move on from this. We got to blow this all up and start over. Is it reset mode? Are the Miami Dolphins in reset mode? And then I don't know if you've caught the post-game interview with Tua Tagovailoa. Did you or did you not?
I did not understand it. I haven't watched it. I saw the quotes. I didn't get what was going on. It did not look good. I've been out. I've been out before the season. This team's done. They were done last year, Mondo. They hit their ceiling, which was really, really, really high, right, a couple years ago. And I think they could have made a run had they not had those cold weather playoff games. And it's over. It's been done. They had amazing offenses, and now it's done. It's over.
Yeah, I was never a Tua Tagovailoa guy myself. Like, he had that one season where obviously for fantasy purposes it was great, and he had some big moments, and the offense had huge moments. But this is a franchise that's just heading in the wrong direction. What he said after the game to me, I'm like, dude, like, you're not and I'm sorry if I offended you, but he's not a leader, dude. Like, he went out and started pointing fingers, saying, "Well, if my teammates would show up to meetings early and the players only meetings early, some people don't show up, some people show up late." Like, kind of pointing the finger, dude. He's gotten so much backlash on that, and I start thinking, I'm like, you look at some of these interviews from some of these other quarterbacks, right? Like, Mahomes has never pointed the finger at any of his teammates. Baker Mayfield has never pointed the finger at any of his teammates. Like you start going across the board, and the guys, these leaders, these fucking dogs, bro. At the end of the day, they're not pointing fingers. They're just trying to figure it out. Miami needs a whole reset, a whole reboot, whatever you want to call it, dude. But and it starts at the top. I think it starts with Greer. I really do. Um,
Mm.
so for me, I think it starts at the top, and you just go all the way down and just restart, reset, and get a fresh start. On the other side of that game, though, Kimani Vidal. I mean, look, it's the Dolphins, okay? So we have to keep that in mind. I do think now, like this is a team we target. I think the Dolphins are a team to target in fantasy. Like their defense is not that good. Like they're not a good team. Like the opposing players are racking up fantasy points again. So I do think that they're a target. Kimani Vidal, is his performance here to stay? Like I think he did enough for us to earn himself more opportunities, right? And I kind of like he moves himself ahead of Haskins. I still am not confident that he's going to produce at that level each and every week, and that he's going to completely dominate. But I do think he's the running back to have right now on your roster from this backfield. I do think he's worked himself into more opportunities. But what were your thoughts on Vidal this weekend?
He looked great. Late round pick. A lot of Fantasy Guru subscribers have him. I know Jeff was super high on him through the draft process last year. And that's the fun, Mondo, of rookie and dynasty. Because, okay, the odds a sixth round running back is going to hit in year one is almost zero, right? But we've seen this with Rico Dowdle. We've seen this with Vidal. We've seen this with a bunch of later round running backs. Give it time, and maybe this can percolate. You put it in the crock pot, you come back, and you would have never, like if you're playing Dynasty, there's no way you could account for him getting an opportunity this year. You needed insane things to happen. Najee Harris, major injury. Omarion Hampton, out for the season or out for IR for at least a month and a half, maybe more. And now he got his chance. And now he got his opportunity against an easy team, but the results are the results. And the Chargers are going to be happy with that. And they've been reeling. They finally have something positive to look at. Vidal is going to have opportunities, and he is clearly better than Hassan Haskins. So this is good. I don't know where this is going to lead, especially when Hampton comes back. But if you had him as the 30th guy on your roster, you are pumped right now. Like that is where we're at. Do you trade him after this week? I would try to ride it out just because I'm a ride it out guy, but maybe you got to sell high window. Maybe you can get a future second now, and then you made profit on that rookie pick that you thought was a complete dud from last year. Or you ride it out. Maybe you started him, or maybe you're in a best ball dynasty and you got 30 points for nothing, right?
Yeah, I think at this point, like you could write it out because like you're already winning. Like you're already winning right now at this point, I think, right? He's gonna they're saying Hampton is the minimum is 4 weeks. It's not necessarily just 4 weeks. There's been reports that it could be beyond the 4 weeks, right? Like Vidal went off against the Miami Dolphins. So what I'm saying is I don't think he's going to produce those kind of numbers, but he is, in my opinion, 100% the guy that's going to operate the majority of the workload. And even if that's 55-60% of it, that's the majority of it. And I think that's the minimum. That's his floor for this. And he can catch passes to the backfield too. Like he gives them different dynamics too. So I like that. What were your thoughts on McConkey? Another big game from him there. That big catch and run down the stretch to get him in field goal range and eventually winning that game. But he's now what? He's scored in back-to-back games, if I'm not mistaken now. So where are we at with McConkey here, who coming off his best game? Like, is you think this is here to stay, or is this with product of Quentin Johnston being out and the Miami Dolphins?
My thought, I wish they never signed Keenan Allen. That's my thought. So we could have been having this all season. Instead, they are really hurting our fantasy upside here. I mean, I think McConkey's great. He's been great. and that's going to continue to be great. But do I trust him like this? No, I still don't. He's getting the volume. I just need them. Release Keenan Allen. What are you doing? Stop it!
Oh boy, I don't think that they rely too much on Keenan Allen there.
But why? Just rely. Give McConkey 15 targets a game. Make him like Wes Welker. What are we doing? Stop it!
And then
He's 30. Get rid of Keenan. He's 33. Have him go bother somebody else. We spent second round, third round fantasy picks on McConkey. Get out of here. We need 100 catches.
It's gonna happen. Maybe not this season though. They even got Orlando Gatson involved in it, Lou. I'll tell you this. I obviously in shallow leagues, 12 team leagues, I don't think you can really go there yet, but I'm keeping an eye on him for sure. Like what impressed me was they went back to him after he fumbled, right? That shows the level of confidence they have in the rookie and the young man. Because a lot of times these coaches say, hey, no, we're done. No, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna sit here right here next to me the rest of the day. But no, they went back to him. I thought that was good. Carolina beating the Cowboys.
Yeah.
What do you think about this team right now? They've shown you two different sides. And then what do you think of Rico Dowdle? Has he made a case to stay very involved in this offense even when Hubbard returns? Or is he going to go back to being the handcuff and simply the handcuff? What are your thoughts on that?
Life's random, Mondo, and for some reason, I have two Panthers fans in my life. I'm from Massachusetts. They're from Massachusetts. Two Panthers fans in my life. And they're not my favorite team, but I've been a part of their journey as Panthers fans for a couple years now. I want this team to win so bad. They have brutalized their fan base, and they're finally getting wins. Of course, that Cowboys defense is nothing. I mean, it's a practice squad at this point. So that is what it is. But Carolina is pretty good. I mean, nobody likes Bryce Young, right? Pigpen was asking me about Bryce Young in the dynasty ratings yesterday, and he's fine. And at home, this team looks really good, Mondo. And here's what we see, right? If you go to their 6 games, week 1 on the road against Jacksonville, they got absolutely wrecked. Week 2 against now terrible, we know, Cardinals team, they lose. Week 3, they come out against the Falcons, win 30-0, and everyone's like, what the hell? They go to New England, lose 13-42 on the road. And then last 2 weeks have been home games. They've won by a field goal both times. So this is a home road splits team. They are at the Jets. I imagine there's going to be some people on them this week. That's going to be sweaty. Bryce Young on the road has not been Mondo. Bryce Young on the road, there's going to be someone who does Survivor on Bryce Young on the road, and I know it's that Jets team, but I'd be careful.
I'm going to go rogue and go Jets this weekend, baby. We're going rogue, baby. After that sloppy performance, yeah, I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, I don't know if I'm going to bet the Jets. Like, I've already learned not to bet the Jets. Listen, it's not it doesn't end well. So I've already learned that there. But yeah, man, like I've been impressed with like some of their performances, and then like you said, like they got, I mean, annihilated by New England. But let's talk about New England. By the way, so Dowdle, what do you think it's going to happen there? Because I think a lot of people are going to have that question, Russ. Like, what do you think when Hubbard returns? What are your expectations for this backfield? Do you find a committee brewing? Do you think Hubbard retakes that? Like, I think it's a very difficult situation to navigate, but I also think that based on Rico Dowdle's 2 recent performances, and I get it, but like you said with Vidal, like the performance, the production is the production, right? Like the bottom line is the bottom line. Even though he's had 2 really favorable matchups, 200 plus yards from scrimmage back-to-back games. You cannot like overlook that. And I think he's going to carve out a role to some capacity. I think he's worked himself into a at least a minimum of 10 opportunities per game. Like I don't see how they don't do that with Rico Dowdle moving forward here, especially if they don't want, to rely on Bryce Young to win them football games. Like now they have a dual-headed monster there, like that they can rely on, right? Between Hubbard and Dowdle. But what do you think is going to happen as far as distribution of opportunities? Do you think it goes back to the way it was, or do you think Dowdle will be a little bit more involved?
This saga with me started last year with Jonathan Brooks. Watching Chuba play that first month, it was supposed to be, it's just going to be a few games. Chuba's going to be a starter. He's not that good. And then Jonathan Brooks is going to come in and save the day. And then Chuba played really well in one game, and really well again, and really well again, and really well again. And by midseason, it's like, oh, wait, this is not going to be Jonathan Brooks coming into nothing. He's not going to be a clear starter. And then, of course, we know the horrible situation that happened with Brooks, but it's like I'm watching the same movie again. It's like, oh, this is only going to be a few weeks, guys. It's only going to be a few weeks, and then Chuba's going to come back, and he's going to be fine. And it's like anyone who's watched these games is like, it's not going to be fine. Is Chuba going to be the lead back? Sure, this is going to be a committee. I mean, I don't know how you keep Dowdle off the field. There's no way. They're going to have to split snaps. He's just too good. And the funny thing about Dowdle is I still think of him as the late round random guy. He was a full-time starter last year in Dallas, 1,300 yards. So it's not like he's some rando. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. No way it's featured for Chuba when he comes back. Sorry, Chuba, guys. It's just you can't. There's no way.
No, I agree with you 100%. That's why I'm saying a minimum of 10 opportunities. I feel like it's going to be a full-blown committee and that they'll ride the hot hand on any given weekend. Like, I really do see it that way moving forward. So he runs with anger, dude. I watched him work. He runs with anger. So, yeah, I think that's here to stay as well. You mentioned this team losing to the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are playing some really good football right now. And I think Drake Maye is playing at a very high level, like with confidence. He looks comfortable. He's going through his progressions. He is not like hesitating. The decision making has been good. Like, yes, has he made mistakes? He's not perfect, okay. But if he is playing lights out football. Like if it wasn't because Baker Mayfield is playing like MVP, like you could be making a strong case like Drake Maye is kind of in that trajectory right now. What are your thoughts on New England, what you've seen so far, what you saw this past weekend against the Saints? They had a few big plays called back. Like that score is what I think it was a 6-point score, if I'm not mistaken. But they had some big plays erased off the board this weekend. Like it could have been, I think, a much better outing for this offense. What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far and then this past weekend from the New England Patriots?
It's beautiful, Mondo. It's a beautiful thing to say. We're happy. That was one of my calls this offseason, Drake Maye, and I think most of staff was kind of on that by the end of the offseason. His price made no sense whatsoever. Even if you weren't high on Drake Maye, you should have been drafting him in fantasy. He is now QB5 by most fantasy scoring metrics. And he is developing into one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So that is happening. Patriots fans have got to be out of their minds right now. And Jets and Dolphins fans have to be sick to their stomach that they have Josh Allen and Drake Maye the next decade. He's amazing. This passing game is a mess in terms of who's going to get the targets. I want it to be Diggs. It wasn't Diggs. He did have a 50-yard catch called back. And then the running backs, Mondo, is the biggest point of frustration because they will not let go of Ramondre. And he stinks. He stinks. No offense to Ramondre. I haven't liked him since Oklahoma. He was stealing all the guys' touches. And now he's here stealing all the touches. So this is just what he does. He makes people upset. and he's making me upset again for like the seventh straight year. So that's how I feel about Ramondre.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on Ramondre myself, dude. Like, fumble again so we can see some Travion Henderson. That's all I want you to do.
Please, yeah, but we
Yeah, it
got
will.
it. We got it.
No, he didn't fumble this weekend.
No, I know, but the previous three fumbles in 2 weeks, and they didn't give up on him. So
I said
I
this
give
last
up.
week. I'm gonna double down this week. One more fumble is all we need, and Henderson's taking over. That's it. One more. Um, Look, Henderson looks like the better running back. And I said this on the show today with Ray as well. I think we talked about this last Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, on the roster coach live stream that we all do on Tuesday evenings. Make sure you check that out tonight as well. Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, Russell Clay, Tyler Beaker, myself, all talking some football, answering live questions there. But I think that there's something that he has to prove to this coaching staff, right? Like we don't know what it is. But I feel like that's what it is. Whether it's a blocking assignment,
Yeah.
whether it's the playbook that he's not understanding fully, like there is something there holding him back. It's not the ability, because you see it pretty clearly between the two when they're both out there. One is better than the other. Like there is one that's better than the others, and that's Henderson is better than Stevenson. Um, I think inevitably he is going to be that guy, though. Like for me, he remains a hold. I know we're going to get a ton of questions about him because he didn't perform high-end numbers this past weekend. He remains a hold. He remains someone I'm banking on as a late season bloomer who can eventually help me win my league. That's how I'm viewing Henderson. That doesn't change. The Patriots right now are playing like one of the best football teams in the NFL. You mentioned Drake Maye. He was my favorite quarterback in that draft class, right? I had high expectations, hated the landing spot because there was not much going on in New England there last season. They made a lot of adjustments there, surrounding him with better pieces. And I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, but the way that he is operating the offense is Tom Brady-like, right? Where he's just spreading the football, getting everyone involved. 1 week is going to be one guy. 1 week it's going to be another guy. He has his go-to guys in time of needs. Like that is what you're seeing in New England right now. All right. Sometimes it's going to be Kayshon Boutte. Sometimes it's going to be Hunter Henry. Sometimes it's going to be Stephon Diggs. That sometimes we're going to see Demario Douglas do what he does. Like you're going to see it. You're going to see Stevenson involved in the passing game. You're going to see Henderson involved in the passing game. Like this is a good offense. This is a good football team. They're in first place in the AFC East right now. Look, this is, I mean, the franchise quarterback that they were looking for after Tom Brady. They got him, and that's what it is here in New England, bro. But yeah, you mentioned him going where he was going in ADP this offseason. I thought that was like I thought that was bananas. Way too cheap for what he brings to the table. When you look at the numbers, he's been QB 17, QB 3, QB 7, QB 8, QB 25, QB 2. And that day that he was QB 17, he had 18.65 fantasy points. So it's not like he was dust. Like that's a good day. Like that's a very good day in the office, right? So it was just a very high performing week for quarterbacks in week one. Like that's what it was. That was the first week of the season. So yeah, I think Drake Maye, I think this is here to stay. I think he's only going to get better as the season progresses. Like you watch him, and I think that win against Buffalo like really catapulted this team, like that confidence of that team, because now they're a threat in their division. Like it's they went into this season not being that. Now they're a threat into the division. And I think expectations were high, and I think they're meeting those expectations right now, Russ. So I'm very, very
Mondo, dynasty startup, Lamar Jackson or Drake Maye?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Drake Maye. It sounds crazy, but I'm going to. That's a startup. Remember, okay?
I think that's where we're at, man.
Like
Yeah.
it is close though.
Yeah.
It is very close. Like, and I know people listening, like they're thinking, no way, this is close. Like there are a lot of different dynamics that you and I are thinking about, right? Like age, like situation, like then like kind of where they're at in their careers, like all of this stuff, right? Like, um, yeah,
Like Mahomes or Drake Maye? Probably Mahomes, but
yeah,
I don't
still,
know.
dude, we're gonna talk about the Chiefs right now because I want to hear your thoughts. But I'm gonna go Mahomes, but it's close, very close. Like, the fact that we're saying it's so close right now, like that just shows you where we envision or what we view Drake May, like where he's at, right? Like I would take. Would you take Drake May or Jalen Hurts right now?
Oh,
It's easy. This was
so I
easier.
have to update. I'm going to update the rankings tomorrow.
Okay.
I moved up Drake Maye into the top 5 last week. The thing is, he is 5 years younger than all these guys, and these
Yes.
guys are all run-first quarterbacks. Even Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been healthy his whole career. At some point, he's going to look like Ben Roethlisberger out there because he's taken so many hits. I mean, he has survived every hit. He's never had a major injury. I'm just saying, I saw Big Ben. He was not a runner, but he would take enormous hit after enormous hit. And by 35, he just could not run at all anymore.
Well, Josh Allen is also bigger than Jackson and Hurts and them. Like he's a like he's a bigger guy.
So
like,
he'll last a long time. He
longer.
cannot continue to run like he is. No. So I don't know, where does Drake Maye fit in this? I have Jaden Daniels as QB1. I got to be honest, I feel like they're right next to each other right now. So
I think he's a tier 1 quarterback in dynasty, like in dynasty startups right now. Like in my opinion, Drake Maye is a tier 1 quarterback. Like,
yeah, that's the best way to think about it. It's
right?
all ranking who's better. They're all
correct
in the same. Yeah.
Like you said, what made me lean Maye over Jackson is not that I think Maye is the better quarterback right now. It's just you're getting 5 years. Like that's a lot in a dynasty. Like and this is a position that is very important, right? So, and then you just look at everything there, right? I think Vrabel's going to be around for a long time here too in New England. Like it looks like the beginning of something special here in New England. And if you're investing in it at the early start, you're going to get the best value, right? Like that's how I view it. This is like, buying Apple stocks and buying, Amazon stocks when they first came out. That's what this is right now. That's what New England is. You're buying at a low cost, and in a couple of years it's going to be a little bit more. All right, enough New England talk here. Let's talk Kansas City really quick. They beat the Lions, and they've been playing, I think, some pretty good football this season, and they've been doing so without Rashee Rice, who is set to return this upcoming week. I said it this morning. I think we're going to see an entirely different offense and a dynamic right now. And we're going to see Mahomes really kind of go back to like what we're used to seeing, like just let him have fun and sling it. They don't have a run game. Like Pacheco is like that is not good, right? That is not good. They don't have a run game. Talk to me about the Chiefs. Talk to me about the return of Rice, like how this changes things. Do you think the same way I do? Do you think this is gonna like really take this offense to the next level, or do you kind of think they're gonna be where they're at right now?
I mean, they'll be better with Rice. It's one more option, and now they have some interesting weapons that they scrounged up. It's like when people go in their cars, clean their cars out, and they find a bunch of change, and they're like, "Hey, I got $3 in change. Let's go. We got Tyquan Thornton deep threat targets now." So they got a few extra little kinks that they can use in a playoff game. Xavier Worthy, I think, is a very good player. They're going to continue to use him, healthy or not. Patrick Mahomes is playing amazing. This was not an easy game, and he made it look very, very easy. He's running a lot, 4 rushing touchdowns already, Mondo. That's pretty insane. I don't think that keeps up, but he is using that asset this year. Hollywood Brown looking pretty solid compared to early season Hollywood. Looked terrible, but he's starting to get the feel of this offense. So Brown, Worthy, Rice. I don't know if it's going to be great for fantasy purposes, but when you put Rice back in there as the 1, this offense looks pretty good now. And we haven't said that for a while. Yeah.
I mean, a long time. That's why I'm saying I think we're going to see some of vintage Mahomes performances coming up. He's QB1 on the season, by the way. He is playing some pretty good football. The 4 rushing touchdowns, like you mentioned this year, that's actually tying his career high, dude. So, like, I think he's gonna break that record his own record this year of rushing touchdowns in a single season. Like he's already tied with his career record, so we're good. Like, can we bet the over on that right now? Plus money, I doubt it, but Russ, let's talk about those Giants. All right, beating up on the Eagles, and then are the Eagles are you concerned about the Eagles? Um, there's two sides two sides here. Let's talk the Giants. Scadaboo Dart. I'll tell you this. It's exciting to watch. I would also say it's not smart throwing your head at someone, right? It's not smart throwing your head at someone here. And I think Norm agrees. He came around, he's like, wait, the Giants, we're talking about Scadaboo, we're talking about Dart. These are my guys. But you can't be a quarterback and diving headfirst into a defensive player with your head. And I think we saw Brian Dable telling him that after, hey, don't do such thing. And shortly after, Brian Dable pats him in the head after he gets his head rung. So, but talk to me about the Giants and their performance there against the Eagles. 34-17, that was an impressive win.
Listen, the classic quote, we're here for a good time, not a long time. That is what Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo are here to do. They're here to make Brian Daboll smile, which he hasn't smiled in about 5 years. I see him smile in every press conference now. Cam Scadaboo not going to be with us like Christian McCaffrey, age 29, age 30, but it's going to be awesome. And for those of you that picked him up, he's going to be great for the rest of the year. It's not even close between him and Tracy. And he is a leader of the team, Mondo.
Yes.
And I think we underrate that sometimes. I know I do, but the first moment I saw Scadaboo in the NFL, I was like, oh my God, they've never needed somebody more. And if you guys have watched some of these teams, as I get older, I start to understand this more. And I used to think this was kind of goofy analysis. Dude, if you watch like the Titans or the Jets, like, we are human beings. These guys are human beings out there. They have lost hope. The Giants had lost hope for the last 4 years. They had nothing. It was monotone. It was nothing. They lose 45-3 against the Eagles. They walk into the locker room. Nobody really cares. They go back to their families and all their money, and then they don't care anymore. This Cam Scadaboo dude is running into walls, blocking defenders out of bounds by 10 yards, and cares. And I'm not saying these guys don't care on other teams, but he cares more than maybe anybody else in the NFL, and it's awesome. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm all in. I love it. Is he talented? I don't care. I don't know. But 5.2 yards per carry in this game, 3 touchdowns. So if you have him, just keep starting him every week. And have we seen this before? I don't think I've ever seen this before, this type of impact this quickly from a running back.
No. Not
this isn't. No. People want to make the Peyton Hillis comparison. This isn't Peyton Hillis. This is like, I don't even know. This is like Jeremy Lin or some crazy shit that we only see once in a couple decades. So it's fun.
And the thing is, like, they've done it. Like you look at the locker room, it's not only Scadaboo. That's the crazy part. Dart has also brought in that energy. Jameis Winston also brings in, like, they have like these high energy, positive guys. Like, it's a complete change of attitude in New York. Like, you see it. It's insane. Like you said, like, Brian Dable looked grumpy. Like, he looked like a grumpy old man the last couple of years. Now he's like smiling and like patting people, kissing, like headbutting. Like, I'm like, this guy's gonna crack his skull open here in the game, like headbutting people with helmets on, dude. Like, come on, But for me, I love that kind of stuff, dude. Like, for me, I enjoy watching it. Like, it's fun. I think it should be. I think there should be more of that in sports and in football. Like, I think we should have more of that fun and excitement. Like you said, man, Scadaboo's going out there, bro. He's playing. He's just loving. This is the thing. This is the perfect example of someone who loves what he does, right? And just it reflects on his performance. He absolutely loves what he does, right? Like, he loves being out there with these guys. He loves tackling people. He loves all this shit. And you're seeing it firsthand, and that's spilling to everyone else on the team because, I talked this with my little league team, and when we're talking stuff, I tell guys, if it's your energy, you feed off each other. Like, if you guys are all down with energy, like, this guy might be playing good, but three other guys, their energy's down. Guess what? You know what? You're gonna it's gonna spill into this guy. Just like the leadoff hitter,
Yeah.
if it's your energy, dude, like go out there. Like I always tell, control what you can. Attitude, effort, energy. That's the only thing we can control. And this guy is executing that to the T. Like he is executing what he can control. He doesn't care about anything else that's going on in the game. And I love to see it, dude. I absolutely love to see it.
Well, last point on this, Jamar Chase is going to have a good fantasy season.
Yes.
You've never seen a more miserable human being than Jamar Chase in these games, right? He is just like, I am wasting a prime year of my life, and it is a nightmare for the Bengals. Bengals, go watch a Bengals, Titans, or Jets game right now, and then go watch this Giants team, and that's what it's all about, Mondo. So,
Yeah. Joe Flacco being there is definitely going to help. Everyone that's listening,
sure.
Joe Flacco being there is going to help. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not going to be Joe Burrow for the Cincinnati Bengals, but he is definitely going to help. Russ, let's talk some quick waiver wires. Let's do some quick hits here. Unless you have any other takeaways, my quick one is I think the Colts are for real. I look at Daniel Jones. I'm viewing him as an every week starter moving forward. I viewed him as such before this past weekend. Look, this is a perfect example of a person who was in a shitty situation. He got moved out of the shitty situation, got placed in a good situation, and is executing, right? Like Daniel Jones, when he was in New York, they tried to fix the offensive line his entire time there. They were never able to execute that. He was always amongst the top, quarterbacks in the NFL as far as sacks was concerned. They did it surrounded with the pieces he needed. Yes, he had Barkley at times. Yes, then they neighbors, but it was never all in one. For him. He goes to Indianapolis. They have a very good offensive line. They have an elite run game. They obviously drafted Tyler Warren, who's an elite tight end and is already making a crazy impact. Then you have Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. You have some nice supporting cast, a good coach, and a coach that believes in you. This is exactly what you get. I look at him from a fantasy standpoint as an every week starter. Kind of in that top 12 range. And then I view this to be real. Like I think the Colts are for real. Like this is a team that's going to be competing, I think, throughout this season. So quick thoughts on them there. Do you have anything else? I know you mentioned the San Francisco situation. I'm pretty sure you were going to mention that for those who didn't know, Jawan Jennings playing through multiple injuries, 5 broken ribs, high ankle sprain and low ankle sprain. That guy is giving it all for San Francisco, Russ. And then Christian McCaffrey averaging 28 opportunities per game. That's insane to me. But any last thoughts here on this weekend or anything?
Yeah, I got to look up that Christian McCaffrey stat. That is insane. He's got to be top 5 all time through 6 weeks. My take, Mondo, it's not too hot of a take, but is Baker MVP right now? Because what he's doing, especially this past weekend shout out Tez Johnson. I did like Tez Johnson out of Oregon. Sterling Shepard, Cameron Johnson. I got to be honest, Mondo. I don't know. I spent a lot of time on this. I had no idea who Cameron Johnson was when he caught that touchdown. I was like, that's a weird number for Sterling Shepard, and it was not Sterling Shepard. He has nobody. They started the year, McMillan gone, Evans gone, Godwin is out again, Egbuka now out. They have not. This is a practice squad, Mondo, a literal practice squad, and they're putting up 30 points. I think Baker has a good argument for MVP. Do I think he wins it? Probably not, but I think it's a good argument. Anyway.
I agree with you. I wrote that in the recap article. I
said
Bucky. No Bucky. Yes, correct. I wrote it in the recap article, dude. I'm like, listen, he's making a strong case to be the MVP right now. Like he is making a strong case, and he's playing with confidence. By the way, I didn't know you were a Tez guy. Have you seen the video that has surfaced around him when they were chanting the MVP?
Amazing.
Isn't that awesome? Like I love those kind of stories. Like he's like, dude, they're chanting MVP. He's like, dude, he's like, I haven't done shit this year. It's like Sterling Shepard was like, nah, bro, that was for my guy Baker, maybe. Dude, that was awesome. Those are the finds that it's like I love finding those kind of videos on the internet too. Like those are the ones I look for. I thought that was awesome. Um, let's close it out with some waiver wire options here. Quick hit, you don't have to really dive into it. So at the quarterback position, I got four guys that I think you could snag off waivers if you're hurting at the position, if you're in a bind, whatever the situation. Jackson Dart, not an ideal situation, right? I view him as a, kind of QB2 with QB1 upside because of the rushing ability, right? He played well in a tough spot against the Eagles last game. So he's someone I think you could consider off waivers this week. Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco, and our boy Trevor Lawrence. That's another guy that I think you could get off waivers. Started off the season slow, but he's giving some pretty good performances as of late. Uh,
Yes.
what quarterbacks are you looking at on waivers this week?
It's a really weird week. I just looked at the schedule last night. A lot of teams, there's a lot of like bad matchups. So we have Drake Maye against the Titans. You're not getting him on waivers. Chiefs get the Raiders this week. And then this Panthers Jets game we talked about a little earlier. Like, we want to say we want to play Justin Fields on waivers or Bryce Young, but are we going to dive into that, Mondo? It's like those are going to be waiver talks. That's sweaty. Daniel Jones probably not on waivers anymore against that Chargers beat up defense. Jane Daniels against the Cowboys. And then we have Jordan Love against the Cardinals. So a lot of our waiver streamer guys, you know, you got Darnold and Stroud are both playing each other. That's a really tough matchup for both. So where did you end up leaning with some of these guys? Flacco against the Steelers doesn't feel great for me either.
No, it's just there's no good streaming options. Like I think if Jared Goff is out there, it really depends on who's out there, right? Like if Jared Goff's out there, he's an interesting one for me. I'll tell you
Sure.
this, I don't care how bad Justin Fields played last week. Like I'm going right
Still
back to,
firing.
yeah. If especially I feel like this is a great week. Like if Justin Field is or was dropped in your league, I would go out there and I would pick him up and I view him as a top 10 quarterback this week. That rushing ability is just insane. And Carolina's defense is not one that I'm shying away from. And I think he's really going to have to do more with his legs this week, especially if Garrett Wilson's out, right? Like it's going to suck. Like, don't watch the game. Like if you start Justin Fields, do not watch the game. Like just look
Right.
at your fantasy stats at the end of the game. And then you say, okay, you know what? We got 18, 19 fantasy points. It's like, shit, he had two interceptions, no passes. How the hell did he get there? It's like, oh, okay, look at it. He's running all over the defenses. But um, yeah, I would still stream him here if you need to. At running back, Kimani Vidal, I think you and I could both agree would be the top priority if he's still out there. A lot of people did add him last week, but if he's still out there in your fantasy football league, strongly recommend you adding him. Bam Knight, another one you could consider off waivers. Like I'm not too excited about this Cardinals backfield right now as things stand. But if he's out there and you're looking for running back depth, he's another one to consider. And I've been saying this each and every week. Kendry Miller, like I would go out there and add him if he's available. Like to me, he's someone that I think can eventually become that guy there. He's seen his role increase pretty much each and every week here. And I think he's a good ad, Russ. Who else do we have in mind here?
You pretty much nailed it, man. Most of my running back ideas have been foiled at this point in the year, so hopefully Vidal can hit for some of those Guru subscribers that still have him. I'm still waiting on the RJ Harvey and Travion things, Mondo. Those aren't waiver guys, but we're just waiting in the elevator. We're stuck in the elevator, it seems. We need to call the firefighters because I'm just going to be stuck in that elevator all year. But still waiting on Sharp, too, so... We're just waiting, Mondo. I'm just waiting. That's where I'm at.
Or you could just do what I did when I got stuck in the elevator this summer. You bust through the door, bro. You just busted.
What?
Yeah, yes, you did
Wait,
that.
what?
Yes.
You got stuck in an elevator?
It was not like a public. It was a yeah. So we were at we were vacationing, and we'll be in every summer we go on a vacation with the family and stuff like that. And we generally rent a house like the entire family. We rent one big house, and then this house is on the beach, and it has like a little elevator. And we, the kids, were my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and we're all hanging out down there. They have like a little pool table by the pool area. We were playing pool, and then the kids were like, "All right, we're done. We're going upstairs." And All of a sudden, Armando presses the up button, and the buddy says, "I'm not going up." So I tried to open the door and come out of the elevator, and everything was locked. Like it was, we were pinned in there. I'm like, "What the hell?" So I was like, "All right." Well, I tell my brother-in-law stayed out there, so it was me, my nephew, my son, and my father-in-law. It was just four, and my brother-in-law stayed on the other side, thankfully, and everyone else in the house. This was like 1, 2 in the morning, maybe. Like it was late. Like we were like out hanging out. Like it was, we were just hanging out. And the kids get in the elevator and say, damn, we're not moving. And I'm like, oh boy. So I'm communicating with my brother-in-law. He's on the other side of the door. It's a door, and he can't open it on his end. I can't open it. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see what we could do. I start thinking of ideas, and it starts getting hot, like really hot. I'm talking about very small space. And I'm like, no one panicking. The kids are like, oh, it's a little hot. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I
Oh
told my brother,
no.
I text him.
Oh
I'm
no.
like,
The dramatic music is
yes,
building.
yes. I text him. I go, okay, I think you need to call the fire department right away. Kids are getting hot. It is getting a little hot. I'm sweating myself. And I look at my father-in-law. He's kind of like sweating too. I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, all right, bro, I'm gonna have to try to bust this door open. And if while he's doing this, so I start literally everything I have to this door. And the fourth attempt, I popped that door wide open, like out. And I was like, oh, thank God. But we were in there a good, I want to say close to 15 minutes, 10, 15. Like, it was a pretty lengthy time where it was uncomfortable. I'll tell you that. I'm
It's
not,
one of those where 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's a stressful situation,
yes,
that's like forever. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So enough elevator talk. Let's talk
Well,
some.
there you go, Mondo. That's a clip. I'm putting that on TikTok. So you're welcome. All
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah.
So wide receivers, Russ, what are we looking at this week? It's not, by the way, look, I'm going to say this because it's not a great week for waivers. It's really not. This is not a week where you should be spending a ton of money. Okay. So keep that in mind, everyone, or you should be spending a ton of your fab or priorities or anything like that. It's a maintenance week, in my opinion, when you're looking at waivers. But you have any receivers you think are good ads this week?
Man, again, not really. I'm looking at those. I'm looking at Tez Johnson if Egbuka's out. But do I really want to play Tez Johnson? I mean, Sterling Shepard. Those are the main guys I would be looking at if I need a waiver option. They're playing the Lions, should be a high scoring game, but yeah, it's kind of just a survival week for me, Mondo.
Yeah, I agree. I mentioned that as well today. Like I'm okay with adding Sterling Shepard. I'm okay with adding Tez Johnson off waivers this week, but they're not necessarily players I want to rely on in my starting lineup. So like that would be more of a depth piece. I've been saying this each and every week. If Troy Franklin is out there, add him. He's carved out a solidified role for Denver there. Alec Ayomaner is someone I've been recommending each and
Mm.
every week with Calvin really dinged up there. Um, I know what it was Van Jefferson that led the way there, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend. I'm not in on that myself. So I'm looking at waivers. If Troy Franklin, Ayo Maynard are out there, get them. Keishawn Butte, I think he's another one that you could add if he's out there. Jordan Whittington with the Puka Nacua injury, I think his role will increase if Nacua misses any time. We saw last year, averaging a little bit over three more targets per game with Nacua off the field than went on the field. So I do think Whittington will be operating out of the slot there for the Rams if Nacua is out. And then we mentioned the Tampa Bay Buccaneers receivers as well. Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard, two other guys to consider off waivers, but not necessarily guys you feel comfortable plugging in and playing here. More depth pieces than anything else. Tight end, Cade Auden saw a 26% target share last week. I think he's going to continue to see an abundance of opportunities here. We saw it last season when they were down Mike Evans, when they were down Chris Godwin, they leaned on Cade Auden. This season, they were down Mike Evans, they were down Godwin, they leaned on Egbuka. Now Egbuka's set to probably miss some time here. We don't know if Mike Evans is going to be back this week or not, but if he's out, I'm expecting Cade Auden to be very, very busy in week 7. So he's someone I would consider. We talked about Harold Fannin being a consideration here off waivers this week, but we do need that David Njoku news. And then in very deep leagues, Oronde Gadsden, I think is someone you can consider. I will say this, if you were on Mason Taylor, I would hold one more week. They got the Carolina Panthers this week. He played over 90% of the offensive snaps for the first time this season. I know he only had one target, but still very much on the field. If Wilson is set to miss any time, in my opinion, Taylor becomes that number one guy in New York. So if you have him, if you streamed him, it didn't work out last week, but I do think it'll work out in week 7. Any other thoughts on tight end waivers?
First thought is Otten, as I mentioned, Tampa. If there's no Egbuka, Mondo, I mean, you think Baker's going to figure it out, and if he does, it's got to be Otten, Tez, or Sterling, right?
Yes, I think so. Like that's exactly what I said this morning with Ray Flowers, like on his show. I That's the way I see it playing out. I think it's going to be Otten, Shepard, Johnson in that order. We're going to see the backfield involved in the passing game, as well. We do see it here in Tampa. So I think that's what it is this week, And for me, it's more DFS targets than season long targets when it comes to these receivers. If we're being honest, like cheap value plays in DFS versus taking a chance in your season long league, right? You don't need to do it. There's only 2 teams on buys, and when you look at the teams on buy, Baltimore Ravens, Zay Flowers probably the only receiver you're using from that team. Buffalo Bills. Are you playing Shakir every week? Probably not. You're not playing King Coleman every week. You're not playing Josh Palmer. So you might not really need a plug and play. Maybe these injuries are hurting you, sure, but there are other options, I'm pretty sure, ahead of these guys. That some of these guys at least there. Russ, it's always fun talking football with you. You and I are going to be doing this again in a couple of hours, and we're going to have our guy Tyler Beaker with us. So make sure you're checking that out over at fantasyguru.com. 7 p.m. Eastern time. Us three will go live. We're going to be talking football, answering questions and all that. But aside from that, you are the host of that show, by the way. But aside from that, why don't you let everyone know what else you got cooking, what you got coming on the site, where they can find you on social media, and those live TikToks that you do. Where can those be found? Because I know you do those, and they're always a good time.
Yeah, Wednesdays we do the Dynasty ratings update. We go into battle on TikTok live. We just tell everyone they're wrong. Now, jokes aside, it's great to get a bunch of people talking about the rankings because I am one man, and you just miss stuff in Dynasty. There's just thousands of things that happen every week. We get a lot of fans of teams that hype up their guy, and I love to have Guru subscribers in there too. So if you are a Guru sub, we would love to hear what you have to say. And a little later, a few hours, we'll be breaking it all down for you guys on the Fantasy Guru live stream. So go check that out. And thanks for having me on, Mondo.
Yeah, man, always a good time. I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you're a busy guy, so making time for the podcast is very much appreciated. You can find all of my work, guys, at fantasyguru.com. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Armando_Marsal, as well as on TikTok not TikTok. TikTok is Mind of Marsal Pod. Threads and Instagram is Mind of Marsal there. Remember, if you're enjoying the podcast, enjoying the content, make sure you follow, rate, review, and like wherever it is you are consuming it. We talked all things Week 6 takeaways. We went over some injuries, some waiver wire pickups, and some of our biggest takeaways of the week for the great Russell Clay. I am Armando Marsal. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's journey through the Mind of Marsal. Until next time.